your relationships with various people, do you think has nostalgia kept you in those relationships, or it kept you tethered to people because you're always thinking about the good times? So this is how they used to be.
Yeah, I've definitely stayed in relationships because I'm thinking about we've all done that, right? We've all been in relationships, whether they were platonic or romantic, whereby you stayed a little too long based upon something that happened in the first year during the honeymoon stage, right? Like, oh, it's going to go back to that. Meanwhile, you're just like, I don't think this is going to work out, right? Yeah. Like if you had like actually the right mind where you're just like, I don't think this is going to work out. And I should have broke up with this person a couple of years beforehand. And those are some of the mistakes. And and you would think as you learn more and more about yourself and you've gone through more relationships, you tend to not do that as often. You tend to be like, okay, this is some stuff that's irreversible at this point. I can't be with this person moving forward, because the two guarantees you're going to have a relationship is that nothing's going to stay the same, right? Like, and the person in front of you is going to change.
Yeah.
Whether it's for good or for bad, you got to get prepared for that. And to be able to compare it to a time of that person that as presently constructed in front of you and comparing them to some time in the past in the relationship, especially when it's been a few years back, that's not fair. It's not comparing apples to apples, because it's a completely different scenario with a completely different person, most likely, right? And I've definitely stayed in it where I thought people were loyal to me at one point who are no longer loyal to me, who were like very selfish in the way they were giving advice, and like not just generally not being helpful, and also not being a good influence in my life because they were just into other things at the time, right? So I stayed there because I was like, damn, I've known this person for X amount of years. Amount of time does not equate quality of the time.
It does not.
Right?
Not
Like,
at all.
you could be with somebody for 15 years and it may be the most terrible 15 years you've ever had. So what about you?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we've all had relationships that we stayed in too long, whether like you said, platonic or romantic. We've had that. So I think definitely I've done that in the past, holding on to an idea or like a hope of it going back to how it used to be and things like that. And then as well as I feel like when you talk about nostalgia, we talk about, or when I reflect back on my past, I reflect on, how innocent I was, or like the world was to us. And it's, you kind of want to keep people around that remind you of that innocent time or remind you of how things used to be, because to be honest, like I feel like the older we get, I'm like, man, this world is cruel, bro. Like,
I mean, we were just talking about people in relationships leaving each other like, oh, I'm out. Like, I'm out. I'm leaving to a different country. I'm gonna let you stay out here in this war-torn country, like by yourself. Yeah, people are cruel, bro.
Yeah.
People are very cruel. Because naturally we're survivalists.
Yeah.
So your natural instinct is like, I got to survive. I got to preserve myself, right? And it's very different to teach yourself to be like, nah, I'm here with the team. Like I am here with the person who got me here.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that's different. And did you ever feel, if you have to think about it now, I'm putting you on the spot, was there ever a relationship where it felt better in your head than it ever did in real time?
No.
All your relationships have been all your relationships have been, I find that very hard to believe.
No, all my relationships have been like, the moments that we had were great. And we stumbled into a time where I want that moment back. That was great.
Right.
Like the actual moments was really great. And then when you get into that toxic period, or when you hold on for so long, or when you stay in something too long, it's because you're chasing that initial high. You're chasing that, it was amazing. Why can't we just go back to that? So that's what I would say. But but as I still remember and I reflect, I'm like, damn, like, it actually was good at a certain point. But like you said, some things never go back to being the same, So.
Especially when certain things happen, right? When certain things happen, you can't unsee or unfeel some of those emotions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely had relationships that, you're chasing back. Why can't we go back to that? Like, where did we go wrong? That's where a lot of my mind, like all my, obviously, because when you break up with somebody, it's a failed relationship. I always think about afterwards, where did it go wrong? And I could almost always pinpoint the moment where.
Could you?
Yeah, bro. I could always pinpoint the argument, because it's always with me that my feelings change.
Oh, okay.
I can sense when my feelings change.
Yeah.
That's why I'm completely upfront with the persons that I'm dealing with, or the person that I'm dealing with now, because like she has to know these are the things that I care about. This is the things that I want you to understand about me. Like, I learned so much from my past relationships that now I'm able to be a lot more direct and clear. But like, look, you want this for the house to have the highest level of success. This is who I need you to be in my life. Yeah. Rather than just letting things rock and letting you create your own adventure. Because what I've learned is people may not love you in the way you need to be loved. They're loving you from the perspective most likely of how they want to be loved.
Okay, yeah.
And it's up to you to pay attention. Like, oh, okay, they're acting this way because this is how they want me to act towards them, because that helps them love me better. But I need to tell them, hey, the way you're doing it is not really causing me an effect. You need to go ahead and love me this way in order for me to be able to. And it's like a backwards reciprocation, all right? Because once you love me the way I want to be loved, I'm going to love you the way you want to be loved. Yeah. And then we've all been in situations where you may not be getting what you want from your partner, so you maybe withhold what they need. Yeah, right? If they need reassurance, well, I'm gonna give you reassurance if you don't give me the stability or the security that I'm looking for.
That's very true.
Right? Like, it's gonna be a little bit of a petty war in that way subconsciously, until you realize, like, damn, maybe I need to step back from this. This is no longer a relationship I want to be a part of. Right? Like,
so do you think that happens when I guess, did you let certain things go, or like, I guess you didn't communicate how you initially wanted to be loved, and did you feel like you accepted it, and then that's what you're reflecting, like, oh, it was never really good?
You know, it's funny because I had this conversation the other night. I let it go because I think as a man, sometimes you don't want to come off like you're complaining too much, or like you're like setting too many. You want to be the cool dude, you know. You want to let it rock a little bit. But being a cool dude gets you in trouble, because once you let certain habits go for a while, it's hard for you to pull back and be like, I don't really like that. And she might be like, hey, like, you haven't really said anything. This is how it's always been, right? As opposed to being upfront about it within the first few months, be like, yo, I'm not okay with this, or this is the way I want you to act towards me in this particular situation, because this is how I'm going to respond the best. Does this work for you? Yeah. Right? Being the most successful people on the planet in any business are the best communicators. That even goes in relationships, right? Business is all relationships. Your friendships are all relationships. Your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whatever you're into, is a relationship too. Yeah. So if you can't effectively communicate in those scenarios, how are you going to be successful in a relationship?